Welcome to the Jeffers Brief, only on Contra Radio Network.
And good afternoon. It's Saturday, March 31st. I'm your host, John Jeffers, here at the Contra Radio Network. Coming to you the day before Easter 2018. And we're not going to make this a long episode. Well, maybe. I hope not. But anyways, what we're going to do is this. I know that, tomorrow you got family coming over. Maybe you don't like the family. Maybe you just want to escape for a little bit. Get your head together. Maybe you're talking about prepping and they all said you're crazy. And now you're saying, you know what? Kiss my, you know what I'm going to say. I'm going to go get some reaffirmation. Listen to John Jeffers of the Contra Radio Network at the Jeffers Brief. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right. Today, we're going to make this a short one because we're not, like I said, we got holidays and stuff. But I wanted to get this out there. Final Prepper put this out, and it's a really good one. By Alexander Kane. It's called How to Maximize the Range of Your Radios. Now, we all have radios. If you don't have radios, you need to get some. Now, I have posted links, and I'm going to post them again for Amazon because they have really good prices on, say, Baofeng radios, GMRS radios. And if you are a subscriber to the CRN group page on Facebook, last week, I went ahead and posted a list of radio frequencies that I thought might be helpful to any prepper or prepper group. Some of you said it's great, we like it, and we went ahead and you copied and saved it. Very good. Make sure you print it out. Electricity goes out, you'll never get to any of the stuff you saved in your computer, so make sure you print it out, put it into a 3-ring binder, laminate the pages, or whatever you got to do. Make sure you protect the information. So let's talk about maximizing the range of your radios. Because, we did talk, and I told her, I'm going to say it now. In case you didn't see it, you're not a member, whatever. I made a CEOI authenticator. I think I put like 180 days worth of codes. That's 6 months worth of codes. And you're saying, what is a CEOI? Counter Electronics Operating Instructions. Basically, it's this. I want to give a call to, say, Rob on the radio. So I call out his unit, his call sign, and he answers back. How do I really know that that's Rob? I don't. How do I know I'm not being spoofed? How does Rob know he is not being spoofed by someone saying, or trying to communicate with him, give him instructions, missions, that kind of thing, when the grid when the grid goes down and you have critical incident and you're trying to get everything together and you're trying to hold it together very closely because right now things are falling apart. You got to hold it tightly. You got to be wrapped tight. You got to be wrapped tight. What I'm trying to tell you is this. Basically what it is I would send Rob a authentication code in order for me to know that it's really Rob that I'm talking to. Rob would authenticate the code I just gave to him by responding with a similar 3 or 4 digit code telling me, okay, he gave that code for this code, that's who I want to talk to. Done. Very simple. Look, I'm also going to throw in what I did also made a unit status board. Perhaps you've seen them. They go on the wall. They're laminated, and it has unit name, who the commander is, who's in charge for the day, who's the officer of the day, who's in charge of the mess, who's in charge of perimeter security, who's on patrol, who's doing what, where, why, when, who's on medical duty, all that stuff. You can blow it up. It's on an Excel spreadsheet. Get it blown up as big as you want. Take it to Kinko's or your favorite document center. They blow it up. You get it laminated, and you put it on the wall. And therefore, anybody that walks into your operations center will know instantly who is doing what at what particular time of the day, what the radio frequencies are, how to contact them, what their call signs are. Very simple, all right. Now, for a donation of $5 to $10, $5 to $10, I will send you the CEOI, and I will send you the unit status board. The Excel spreadsheet is password protected. I will send you the code to unprotect it. So that way when you get it, you can let go, oh, okay, here's the password code, bing, 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 opens up, you're all set. So you are going to need Excel because it's on an Excel spreadsheet. Yeah, so for $5, $10 donation, I will accept payment through Facebook or, if you like, get a hold of me. You can either do it through patreon.com, which a number of you are, shall we say, financial supporters of this show. Thank you. Or put it through PayPal, and I'll see you in my PayPal address. Okay, pretty simple stuff. $5 to $10, I send it to you. It's very simple. Such a deal, my friends. Such a deal just for you today. Come into my store. Come into my store. I have a deal for you, my friend. Yeah, I had too many people. I know too many guys that went to Afghanistan. They told me about the shopkeepers there. So, anyways, we're talking about groups, radio groups, radios. You got to have radios, okay? Got to have them. If nothing else, you don't have to talk on them, but if you can find a nice active frequency, you can always listen in, unless they have them scrambled or decoded, which, by the way, some of these radios will do. They will scramble the signal for you. All right? So if you collect any random group of radio owners together and ask them what they would most like to improve on their radios, the chances are most of them would emphatically say, more range, more range. That, if you're not familiar with what that means, they want the radio signal to travel farther and farther. It's true, it is. So there you go. Now, we talk about greater range. It is important to realize that there are two parts in a radio's range. The first part is how far away its transmission can be heard. The second part is how far away it can receive transmissions from other radios. There is usually little point in improving one part of the radio transceiver's range without improving the other part as well. What is the point of being able to transmit further than you can receive, or vice versa? The whole idea of a two-way radio transceiver is that you can communicate bidirectionally, both to and from or to some other person. Got it? Okay. That's why the CEOI comes in handy. Now, on the other hand, if you made some tweak to your receiving circuit so you could now hear stations twice as far away, and if they were to do the same thing to their receiving circuits too, then that would balance out and you'd both be able to send and receive to each other again. So, if you're seeking to optimize conditions among your own group's radios, making an unbalanced improvement to your radios is okay if you make the change to all of the radios. And of course, always, any better performing feature is to be preferred to an underperforming feature. Yes? Correct? Yes? Yes? Number one priority, antenna. The most important thing you can do to improve your radio's range, both for transmitting and receiving, is to improve its antenna. Now, for some strange reason, mainly cost, secondary size, the standard default antenna that most radios come with is very disappointing and does not perform as well as an antenna that is theoretically capable of doing. So a good antenna may be a bit larger than the standard default the radio comes with. The ideal length for an on radio like FRS or GMRS antenna is about 6 inches. But that's not a huge increase in size, so it's almost an essential must-do upgrade. Now, a poster on a Yahoo group about the Baofeng UV5R transceivers gave a great example of the impact the antenna can have on a radio. Now, he measured the strength of transmitted signal from a UV5R with its standard antenna, and then with two different aftermarket antennas instead. The standard antenna gave a signal strength of 19 dBm. The first of the two aftermarket antennas gave a strength of 12 dBm, and the second one came in at 10 dBm. In this case, lower numbers are better. Lower numbers are better. Now, for the amazing thing, these are logarithmic measurements. So a 9 dB change is about the same as an 8.5-fold increase in transmitting power and receiver sensitivity. Oh, the cost of this amazing antenna that converted the radio from an average performer to a super performer was the Nagoya NA701. That's for about $10 on Amazon. I will put a link for you. So, and I'm going to put it down, for that antenna. Less than $10 on Amazon. Now, if you had an FRS radio, you probably can't replace the factory antenna because it almost certainly comes with a fixed hardwired antenna. The same is true of most but not all GMRS radios, especially the low-priced blister pack consumer units. The importance of a good antenna cannot be overstated, and so you should make this part of your buying evaluation of radios. Do they have removable antennas or not? A good antenna is by far the best thing you can do to improve your radio's performance. It'll give you a balanced improvement in both transmitting and receiving capabilities, and will give you the equivalent of a hugely overpowered transmitter without breaking the law restrictions on transmitter power and without using up your batteries more quickly, which would happen if the transmitter was consuming power at a much greater rate. So if you have had a radio to be used in your car or at your home, retreat, wherever, you have more options for antennas without needing to be quite so concerned about antenna size, weight, portability, etc. In particular, there's another amazing transformation you can do for a fixed base station, and that is to mount your antenna outside the building and as high up as possible. You can do this. Now, getting your antenna up higher not only gives you a clear line of sight to nearby radios, but also extends the line of sight distance for further away ones. At typical heights, when your radio is being held to your hand, the horizon is only 3 miles away. And if the other radio you're communicating with is also, say, 5.5 feet above ground level, then the total distance between you should be under 6 miles for line of sight conditions. But if your antenna is 20 feet up, you've almost doubled the distance to the horizon, and you could now be almost 9 miles away from the tower antenna. If your communications will always be one general direction, you can also consider choosing a directional antenna to focus your transmitting power and your receiving sensitivity, of course. So, and only one part of the hemisphere that otherwise radiates out from your antenna, even that is not the case. There may be advantages to having both a general antenna and also a very directionally focused one. Miyagi makes a great directional antenna. And if you need to, switch from the general to the directional antenna and point it where the other radio you want to communicate with is. And that will surely give you another double or quadrupling of equivalent transmitter power and receiver sensitivity. Number 2 priority, power and voltage. It's true, power and voltage. Think about it. If you have a portable unit, maybe it is designed to operate with a rechargeable battery pack that is provided with. If so, well and good. But maybe, just maybe, it is designed to work with standard AA or AAA type batteries, or perhaps even a 9-volt battery. If that is the case, there's a temptation to replace the standard single-use batteries with rechargeable NiCad batteries. Normally, this is a great thing to do, but rechargeable batteries are 1.2 volts per battery, whereas standard single-use batteries are 1.5 volts. So rechargeable batteries have 20% less what? Less voltage. How important is this? Your radio's receiver will work pretty much the same with either voltage, but your radio's transmitting power is probably proportional to the square of the battery voltage. So in theory, this is true. But maybe the radio has a voltage limiting circuit inside and cuts down the voltage from the standard batteries and runs at full power with rechargeables. Maybe. Assuming no voltage limiting circuitry, then the rechargeable batteries, your radio might be only developing 64% of the power it would with the standard batteries. That's an appreciable power reduction. It's not as significant as with an antenna change for sure, but still an appreciable one. And if you're in an area of marginal coverage, it might make all the difference between getting a signal out or not. So what to do in such cases? Either use single-use batteries or have an external power pack with sufficient rechargeable batteries to equate to or slightly exceed the standard battery voltage, and a wire running into the radio from the external power pack. Oh, and in addition, if you're in a marginal coverage area, make sure your batteries are reasonably fully charged, because that could help too. Okay. Number 3 priority, hold your radio high. Don't shield it. Now, we suggest you get an external microphone speaker or earpiece microphone for your radio, so that when you are transmitting or struggling to receive a weak signal, you can hold your radio not at your mouth, but high above your head. Not only does this give your signal a bit more clearance, but it prevents your body from soaking up so much of the signal. If this is not practical, at the very least, and as best you know where the other people you wish to talk with are, don't put your body between the radio and the direction you want to transmit and receive. That can sometimes make a small bit of difference too. Number 4 priority, move your position. If there's a big barn immediately next to you and blocking your line of sight to the other radio you're trying to communicate with, then, if the signal is poor, move so that the barn is no longer blocking you. If you're in a small dip in the land, climb out of it and onto the highest ground you can find. Now, while radio waves will go through objects to some extent, as a general rule of thumb, the more clearly you can see the other person you want to communicate with, the more clearly your radio signal will reach them. And the more obstructions between you, the lower this signal quality will be. Understand? Yes? Makes sense to you? Yes? So, I will post those. Now, these are about all you can do once you bought your radio. So, in general, we suggest the most important part of your radio is to optimize its receiving capability. Think in real life. Which superpower would you prefer? Super hearing or super loud voice? Most people would choose super hearing, and you should too. Your objective is not to be heard by everyone, everywhere, with an extraordinary radius of your radio. Rather, you want to be able to hear everyone, friend, foe, and neutral stranger, and communicate primarily with those you need to communicate with, ideally without being overheard by more people than you absolutely can't avoid. The less transmitting power you need and use, the better. That keeps your transmissions closer to below the radar of other people who might be out there, and saves the batteries in your radio. Okay, I am going to post an Amazon link, because I got to get one more sale, guys. Got to get one more sale to keep the Amazon affiliation alive here for CRN. So I'm going to go ahead and put a link to the Nagoya NA701 antenna. If you're using the Baofeng UV5R, it should be fine. It'll probably work with the, let's see, I think it's an 8. I think that's what it is. Either way, I'll post it on there. Remember, it's less than $10 and you can improve your radio stuff. FYI, when I'm not using the radios, when they're in storage, I store them without the battery. I wrap them in plastic, and then I wrap them in tin foil, wrap them in plastic, wrap them in tin foil again. I take the antennas off of them and store the antennas next to the radio. I don't leave the antenna in the radio. You're asking, why is that? Well, I'm going to tell you. In the case of an EMP, the antenna will soak up the EMP and blow out your radio. Because there's so much electricity in the air discharging, it will find its way into the antenna into the radio, and burn it out. So if you take the antenna out, put it off to the side, make sure there are no batteries in it, it's not powered up, you should be just fine. But that's the way I do mine. This is the way I do it, Johnny Vegas. This is how I do it. It doesn't mean you have to do it. I'm just putting it out there for your edification and purposes. All right. With that said, I'm John Jeffers here with the Jeffers Brief, giving you a brief tip, a brief show before Easter Sunday, because I know right now if you got family over, and you're getting tired of them, you just want them to go away, like, forever, and you can't, because, well, they're family. They are what they are. Feel free. You can listen into this. All right. Have a good Easter, everybody, and I'll probably talk to you again next week. I'm John Jeffers at the Contra Radio Network saying thank you. And to my Prepper and Patriot friends, be safe, be alert, and be vigilant. I'm John Jeffers. Thanks for listening to Contra Radio Network, the Jeffers Brief. Please pass the word on to your friends. Good night.